Hello, good afternoon. Are you familiar with this device? Right. It is a stream deck made by a company called Elgato. This is a customizable control panel designed primarily for streamers and content creators. It features physical buttons with LCD displays that can be programmed to perform various actions, launching application, controlling media, or executing multi-step workflows. And of course, you can use it with FileMaker Pro. So in my current situation, I can use it to navigate to the different slides of my presentation. I can also launch websites. And of course, return to my presentation. So this tool is made for automation. Automation describes a wide range of technologies that reduce human intervention in processes. So that's the focus of my presentation today. Using automation to address a problem in a company that operates without FileMaker solution. In today's session, we will dive into the importance of automation in business processes and why it's a game changer for efficiency and growth. And to illustrate this, I share a real-world case study of a catering company in Madrid, Spain, where automation transformed their operation and solved critical challenges. Finally, we will wrap up by exploring some practical tools and strategies that you can apply to implement effective automation in your own project. So our first question should be, when should we automate a process? In my case, I have 3 different triggers that initiates an automation process. First, whenever I start a new project, when I do something new, and I don't want to make mistakes. Of course, I'm going to make mistakes, but I want to avoid stupid ones. So my first step is to create a checklist. In fact, the first thing I've done in this session is to check a checklist. Yes, it's here. View the phone, check the clothes, test the stream deck, blah, 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 blah. Second, when I realize that I'm doing the same thing over and over again, my daily life, my FileMaker solution, it's the same thing. And third, I consider automating a process if I simply don't like executing it. Yeah, we all have some boring stuff we have to do every week or every month. So if I can do it just by pressing a button, that task won't be a problem for me anymore. So how can I automate my work, my life, my processes, whatever? In my case, I have to create the thing before I can optimize it. I must know what I want to do and sort all the pieces of the puzzle before going further. So at this point, we must distinguish between strategy and execution. The strategy is a general plan to achieve one or more goals, while execution is just doing one or more actions in a certain order. You can guess strategy is much more important than execution, especially because execution can be done by more people than strategy. If we are business owners, we should spend more time working on the business than in the business. What's the difference? Working in the business means executing regular tasks, creating tables, scripts, and so on. But working on the business is all about strategy. How can I improve my FileMaker solutions, or how can I sell more of my products? But we must be aware that not working too much in the business and spend more time working on the business. And this is something that happens a lot if you are a soloist. And even if you are the CEO and your employees handle execution, you must review work. For example, I've encountered errors like this in numerous email automation. Dear first name. That's terrible, and it damages our reputation. And finally, if you get rid of execution and you have time to work on the business, consider looking beyond FileMaker. Yes, I know that our beloved FileMaker can do almost everything, but don't be lazy. Explore additional products like Claris Connect or Claris Studio. See what possibilities JavaScript offers you via single web viewer, or even consider using a different software if FileMaker is not the optimal selection for your client. So why should we use automation on a daily basis? I believe that the main reason is as straightforward as saving time. We don't want to spend our valuable time on repetitive tasks that add no value. We simply want to press a button and boom, the task is completed. If we want to maximize our time at work, we should let our computer handle these mundane tasks. It would execute them even better than we do because it doesn't make mistakes. Well, most of the time. Automation also ensures that tasks are carried out in exactly the same way. Exactly the same. It demonstrates consistency and professionalism to my customers and helps build a strong image for my company. Moreover, if you are the decision maker in a company, it's better to spend time on strategic work rather than on repetitive tasks. And imagine the CEO of a big company doing the same thing, same task over and over again. No. My mother always said that to be a good leader, you need to know how to do it yourself. And she was right. But even if you are not the one doing the task, you should still have control over it. Don't try to do it by yourself. Delegate. But from time to time, check how things are going. And if you are the decision maker in the company, try to increase the value of your solution by integrating APIs that can do amazing things in your FileMaker app. I have customers who bought a solution from me, a FileMaker solution, that only does a simple task, one simple task. But that task is critical for some company. In a nutshell, one simple automation can be a final product ready to be sold. Investing your time in creating automation processes, of course, has significant benefits. Once we complete the process of automating some of our tasks, we will discover that we have more time for other enjoyable activities in our lives. There will be fewer mistakes. Our products will appear more professional, and our business will benefit from having a CEO who focuses on working on the business, something that doesn't happen as often as it should. I believe that when I run an automation process, it's not agile. I prefer to refer to it as autopilot because it begins with the user initiates the process. So it's not fully automated. I still have to execute it. But I don't have to think about it. So I feel like an automaton at this point. Initially, there's this resistance to creating a checklist. Maybe because you think I like to change this process. I remember the next time. As a programmer, it's amazing how useful a simple checklist is for anything that you have to do on a recurring basis. Using a checklist, I can go through the list with my brain off. I'm relaxed. I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just doing what I'm told. My brain is not even there. So I can focus on what is really important. For instance, thanks to my checklist at the start of the session, I can think about what I'm going to say instead of worry if my internet connection is operational or if I speak something. Sure. Documenting. I'm sure that if you review all the projects and flows in your Claris Connect account, you would find the stuff that you don't even know why it works. So documenting every procedure that you carry out or delegate can be priceless. Alternatively, You might find recording a video a better fit in case writing is not your thing. Think about this. You can go on vacation if you are the only one that knows how to do everything in your company. Or what about when the person who does this for you goes on vacation? Or they are sick? And of course, update this document whenever a change is made to the process. Talking about outsourcing. Yes, do it. Do it every time you can. And the reason is that you should focus on your genius zone. Maybe you are good creating file-maker layouts, making great designs, but maybe your JavaScript skills are not the best. So let other people do them for you. And if you are the project manager, your job is to discover what are the best skills of each team member and put them in a position where they can use them. I like to share a personal example. I make video tutorials for my website, FileMakerMagazine.es. The main point here is the video. Not the website, managing payments, or renewing subscribers' memberships. That's why I delegate all these routine tasks to a platform called Your Screens, giving me the freedom to focus on my videos. But if you outsource your work, you cannot relax indefinitely. Because this platform, like Your Screen or perhaps an API from Google, can change without prior notice. So include in your monthly checklist or whatever appropriate a task to review all these external processes. At this point, you also need to decide whether you prefer to handle it yourself or to use some off-the-shelf tools available. Because, we are programmers, and our initial inclination may be to think, I can program that with my eye closed. It's really worth it? Perhaps not. Just pay a few dollars for a tool that is error-free and start using immediately. But in any case, it's another option to consider in their overall automation process. So let's cut to the chase and talk details. The company I created this automated solution for is called El Laurel, and it's based in Madrid, Spain. And I appreciate them allowing me to showcase. El Laurel specializes in organizing events for wedding and corporate functions. For each event, they need to hire and schedule staff. And they want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Managing this process manually can be time-consuming to errors, which is why they needed an automated solution to streamline their operation. They already have a FileMaker database, the typical setup with tables for events, waiters, addresses, and so on. But even though they were using a computer, everything was still manual. They had to contact each waiter individually to check their availability. Sometimes by a phone call, sometimes with a text message, occasionally an email. What they wanted from me was a solution to send availability requests to the staff. And we're talking about a single question requiring a Boolean answer. Yes or no? That's it. But then comes part two. We need to retrieve that answer in our system without any human intervention. And finally, maybe this is the easiest part, we need to send an email to the selected staff members. We consider several options. Manual emails or phone calls. Of course, no, this is time-consuming. FileMaker Web Direct. No, because they have more than 400 waiters. So the license for this would be really, really expensive. Claris Studio. No, because we cannot modify a form created in Claris Studio on the fly. Approvals from Claris Connect. Can try it. And using APIs and third-party tools like Typeform. Yes, we will try this as well. So I finally decided to test the last two options. Claris Connect approvals and Typeform API. And out of these two options, I finally went with the second one, using Typhon with Claris Connect. Later, I'll explain why I decided not to use Claris Connect. Now it's time for the live demo. In my demo, I showed you a FileMaker solution called catering, which replicates the entire automation process that this company uses in its own system. This file is included in the session materials, so you can download and use it. Okay, let's go. Demo. Yeah, we are. This is the file. It's really a simple file. It has 1, 2, 3, and 4 tables. People, we got here 100 waiters, and the miles, anniversary, Michael night. No, we had a party last night about the 80s, so maybe these names is familiar to you. So we have the people, we have the events. Each event has usually its own name, we get date, and we have a location. And then we have questions and answers. So every time I ask a question to a waiter, I'm creating a new record in this table. It's like a join table with we got the ID of the event and we have the ID of the waiter. And of course, we will write here his answer. I also create a settings table. This is a typical table with only one record. And that's because I'm sending an email. You know, you can send emails using the mail app, using the SMTP, and you can use it, of course, OAuth 2.0. So that's what I did here. I create this layout with this screen capture, make it easy for my customer to complete this information. Like this. This is our regular fields. And I'm using a Cartesian relationship like this between the people table and people reference. Make sure that from this context, I'm able to get information about the email settings of this person. So that's it. As you can see, the file is really simple. So let's go to the people. Fine. Okay. I have one popover. The first thing I need to do is to choose an event. I have this list. You know, I'm showing you the literal name of the event, but obviously I'm working with the UID of this event. And I have to select one event, let's say the Claris Engage 2025. And we are reviewing both options. Claris Connect approval and type 4 plus Claris Connect. So let me explain a little bit what is Claris Connect approval. If you are working with Claris Connect approvals, yep. Great. So what I'm doing here is I create from FileMaker a record in FileMaker, the Q&A table. That's the first part. And then I'm from FileMaker connecting to Claris Connect, and an approval is sent via email to the waiter. And now comes the second part. Waiter received the email, click yes or not, and this information goes to Connect and then to FileMaker. Let's see how it works. I'm opening my email is right here, and let us Michael can attend this. And we click here. Claris Connect approval, Dura approval has been sent. Michael. Now we have created a related record. So we can see here that it's waiting for the response. This icon here shows that my question has been sent via Claris Connect approval. And now we got here our approval. This is an email. Look at this. It comes from connect and claris.com. I cannot modify this. So let's open this email to see how it looks like. Claris Connect approval request. Title, Michael Line. Availability for the Claris Engage party. Request. That's me. Due date. It means that it expires 3 days. So I had to answer quickly. Description. We would like you to work at an event called Claris Engage, blah, 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 blah. Please let us know if you are available by clicking the approve or reject button. I can also include a link to any file. In my case, I just include a link to a PNG, but you can include other attachments. And now they say, if you use Microsoft Outlook, go to the Claris. I don't know what that's mean. Anyway, but the main point here is that I can also say, do one comment, hello, and I can say approve or reject. Let's say that I able to attend the event, so I click, I want to show this part as well, say approve. Or it says thank you, and in a moment that waiting is now a yes. So now I have the answer from the waiter in my file, which is cool. So let's see how it works. I'm using this script called approval send. So the first thing I had to do is to create a record in my Q&A table. So there's many ways to create a record in a table, and go to a particular layout, record, and so on. But since we are using FileMaker 21, I think that the best option is to use the execute FileMaker.api script instead, because you don't need to create any relationship. It's really fast, and you don't have to change the context of your solution. So I'm getting all the information I need for my approval. I am getting an ID because the ID field, the Q&A table, is not auto-enter. This is the waiter, ID people, first name, last name, email, etc. And at the end, I get information about the event. I have to specify the layout. I'm working with this particular layout. This is the field data, which is in JSON format. Here it is. And this information will be sent to the approval. I'm sending one UUID with the Q&A record, another UUID with the waiter, and a third UUID with the event. These 3 pieces of information. So once we have our new record, it's time to run the trigger for the Claris Connect. I have some JSON data here, which is all this data that we already have in our variables. Now we trigger the Claris Connect, and this is some additional validation. In case that there's an error, I want to know that an error has occurred. So what's going on in Claris Connect? Let me show you really quickly how this flows. This is Claris Connect. Did you work with Claris Connect? Did you? Anyone? Okay, so this is a really simple flow that I'm running from FileMaker. Send approval. Really, it's triggered by a script, and then we create the approval. So here we have to complete these fields with the asterisk. It's really easy to do. Enter a title for the approval, which appears in the email subject. So how can we know where's the first name, where's the last name, and so on? We click in this plus button, and then we have access to all the information that comes from FileMaker. Email, email organizer, date, even name, first name, last name, etc. So just by clicking here, this information goes to this field. So I can do the same thing with title, description, so I can customize this content. This is the approver email, approver name, requester name, attachment link, and due dates. 1, 2, 3 days. So now we got something like an if. We're working in FileMaker, in a regular FileMaker script. This is an if that says that if it's approved, then I will run this particular FileMaker script sending a parameter. I have to set up in which layout I will work. This is our layout for this Q&A. What's the script I want to run? I can choose between all of the scripts in my file. And now I'm sending a script parameter. You can write your script parameter however you want, but I prefer to do it with JSON because it's easier later to retrieve the information. So I'm getting the status, one ID, and one comment. In this particular trigger, I'm running the same script, exactly the same, because the answer, I'm extracting it after. So I prefer to do it like this. In case you want to replicate this, you can choose to run one script or other script that the answer is yes or the answer is no. So when the waiter say yes or say no, we have the story of Wapicotan, approval, our request, and this approval request, blah, blah, blah. And then we are running our FileMaker script with this request. So this is what we are sending to FileMaker, one JSON with approval, ID, and here is comments. So now let's go back to FileMaker. Let's go to the script workspace because we are running the approval answer. This is not really complicated because we expect a parameter with this information. So we set a variable with our JSON. We get the ID, which is the Q&A record ID. And here is the answer. Then we go to do the data API questions and answer. Go there really quickly. That this. Okay, so the answer we are receiving from the approval is here. Approval JSON. This is the approve or reject and the comment. And by the way, I'm using a number field to say if the answer is yes or no, using yes number. This one important thing, if you are dealing with thousands or billions of records, if you want to perform or find a different context, do this. First, enter file mode. Then go to other layout and the field and perform find. Because if you go to layout first, you are showing a lot of records and the user really don't need it. So the order here is really important. That's it. We get the data and we set field with the answer. So that's Claris Connect approval. don't use it. Don't use it because, I mean, if my company is called LRL, if some of my waiters receive an email from connect@claris.com and with all this information is in English, this company is in Spain, I cannot modify any of this. Regards, Claris International, hello Claris, and all this legal stuff. So it's good, but I cannot customize it. So that's not an option. So let's move to option number 2. Let's go to people. Let's select this wedding. And let's try the second option, which is Typeform plus Claris Connect. What are we doing here? First step is exactly the same. We're creating a new record in our Q&A table. Then we create a new form in Type. We will head over to the Typeform website to see what it is. And we are sending an email to the waiter with an URL. This URL is URL for this particular form because we are creating a brand new form for every waiter. It's not the same form for every waiter. I mean, everyone has his own form with his Dear Michael or Dear John or whatever. So when the waiter says yes or not, the answer goes from Typeform to Claris Connect and then to FileMaker Pro. So let's see how it works. Michael Knight, raise a marketing wedding, Typeform, Claris Connect. Okay, click there. Now it's created. We check our email. Let's get to this. She successfully sent Michael and did it. We click here and here's our email. This is a plain text email, but you can change it and make some tiny HTML email or whatever you want. Dear Michael, we would like you to blah, 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 blah. Let us know if you are available by filling out this form. So we are heading to this particular URL. Let's see what happens. Click here. I can customize the form. That I include all these colored squares from the page. And let's see the text. Hello, Michael. We would like you to work. Blah, 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 blah. Yes or no. We say yes. Now let's say yes, no. Okay. Mint. Thank you for your answer. You're welcome. And in a moment, this waiting will be no. That's it. So how does it work? Let's come back here. This. By the way, if you are using Typeform, we can also, let's create a new one. Do like this. I include a button right here. Just in case you want to check if the form is operational, we click and we go early to this Typeform. So obviously Typeform is not a free platform. So let's go to the Typeform website. It is, you have to pay. You have to pay according to the number of sponsors that you need. For example, by 25 US months, you can get 100 responses. You need more responses, pay more, and that's done. So let's go to the scripts. We are using this Typeform 10 script stamp. Dependencies. We need a token, and we need a webhook URL. What I did is I saved this information custom function because it's easier to pull them or to modify cases needed. So we got a Typeform token, which is just a text, and a webhook. This is our URL. Webhook. Do you know what a webhook is? It's just a URL that I send, in this case, to Typeform, and when the form is complete, Typeform will send some information to that particular URL, and this URL is Claris Connect. So let's go to details. This first part is exactly the same that with the Claris Connect approval. I have to create a new record, the Q&A table. This is the information I need, the first name, blah, 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 validation. I close the popover, I create a new record, it's exactly the same. So here is where the magic happens. I am setting a variable called JSON data. This JSON data is all this text, all this JSON. By the way, if you have to create a long text or to set up a variable, don't use the set variable script step. Because if you do that, you have to escape all the quotes here. And it's really not a good option. You need to do something like this and like this, etc. So there's a better option to use the short text script step, because you just copy this JSON or HTML or whatever, and that's it. So what I do here is using like some kind of placeholder. First name, last name. I'm completing this JSON, and let me think where this JSON comes from. And the Typeform API documentation, of course. Type, multiple choice. Title, hello, first name. This is a return. We would like you to work at the event called event name, on event date, on event location. Properties, yes, no. Randomize, allow multiple selection. So all the settings of your form are here. Show progress bar, yes, no, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So then, once we have this information, we just have to do a substitute. Then we change in this variable JSON data the placeholder substitute by the real data, which is here. So we have now all the information we have to send to create our Typeform. This is the current options that we have to specify. We need to use the Typeform token, which is here. And we are sending all these things to this URL. This is the header, and we do the insert from URL. So now we have just create our form. This variable is a global variable. I include this here so we can check if everything works as expected. Result.typeform. So if we open the data viewer, here it is. Result Typeform. Here it is. Okay. This is the information we receive when the form is created. We have reference, ref ID. We have one ID of the form, really interesting, and some other additional information. So, from all this JSON, what I need basically is two things: the Typeform ID and the Typeform link. And all this data, Typeform ID and Typeform link, what I will do is I will include this information in the record I just created here. So here, let's use this other layout. Let's go our last record, and this is the information. This is the Typeform ID. This is the Typeform link. So I have to send to the waiters just this URL. Which happens to be saying go on my D and the Typeform link. Okay, So now I got the record update with the Typeform link, Typeform ID, and this is really tricky because I have to create the form first and then modify this form injecting the webhook URL. So I got my webhook URL, which is in a custom function. I have to create this webhook data and then send this information via insert from URL to my form. I say it's a little tricky, but as you have all these examples, you can see it easily. Result webhook. This is just for debugging purposes. I make a pause because sometimes FileMaker works really, really fast and Typeform not. Then I have my form and I can specify a particular theme. It's like a FileMaker theme. I want to include these squares with some colors and so on. So I decide that I will use this theme. This is the theme URL, seed data, and insert from URL. So my new form now has this theme. Finally, result theme. Everything is okay. This global variable will be empty. Don't panic. And now we are ready to send our email to the waiter. This is the title, this is the body, and we are sending email with this URL. Press the portal. So all this script just to create the form. So let's see what happens when we receive the answer from Typeform. We get to get this information that comes in a parameter. So we have these global variables that is where we saw Typeform. Wait. This is the creation of webhook, and we are getting to, I think it's here, up there. Okay, it is. We have the Typeform answer, and we have the Typeform ID. In this particular case, I'm using just this pipeline, the parameter. You can use JSON, but it's only two different pieces of information, so it's okay. Variables for both of them, and then it's more or less exactly that we did with the Claris Connect approval. We enter file mode, we go to layout, we set field, we perform the file, and then we write the answer. And finally, as I don't want our waiters to come back to the form, I can delete the form. Using, of course, the insert from URL, making a request with a delete, and the form is gone. That's it. So, final part. We got the answer, and for example, let's go to this event. So I can see that these two waiters say yes. So I just have to click the confirm button and an email send Michael. Here, okay, it is. Hello, Michael. Congratulations. You have been selected to work at the Claris Engage party. Now, process is complete. We send the question, get the answer, and we confirm. So let's go back to our keynote. Change this. Okay. Edit. Right, so benefits. Wait. Okay. Benefits for the catering company. They save time, obviously. fewer errors. And look at this, faster response times. Yes, because now it's much easier for waiters to send their responses. They can do it in just a couple of clicks. And finally, we present a more professional image of our company or our staff. From the waiter's perspective, we ensure that they always receive the request in the same format, making the response process much easier for them. We also learn the importance of investing time in choosing the right platform for each process, and of course, in documenting our workflows. Once we've done 3 or 4 automations, we are ready to scale them to other users in the systems or any other app. Other implications? The list of processes that can be automated in a FileMaker Pro application is endless. We have the tools to make it happen, and our clients would be thrilled to see their processes running automatically. So, if you are a FileMaker developer, remember this. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use ready-to-use tools. It's okay, no problem. Do what you do best and outsource the rest to tools or to people. And keep an eye on automation because third-party APIs or tools can change at any time. So if I had to sum up this session in one sentence, it would be, let automation handle the boring stuff so you can spend more time in your genius. So, thank you. Now I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do you know some platform to do something similar but in WhatsApp or text message, something like that?
Yeah. You can automate processes using SMS, WhatsApp, but the thing is that you need a connector, Claris Connect, or WhatsApp in this particular case, and so far it's not working. I talked to the engineer in Claris that's working in this connector. He said that so far it's not ready because Meta API has some particular, I don't know what, but it's not possible yet. I'm testing this connector. With Claris Connect, you can do custom connectors, which is great. Like a couple of them, but you just have to work in a JSON text, which is the connector, and the boring part of all this integration is to read the documentation of the API, any API, the API, type form. But once you read 1, 2, or 3 documentation, they are more or less the same. You just need to try or contact support or to talk to the Claris engineers and say, please, could you please write a connector for me for WhatsApp or for Meta or for whatever? They can say yes, or they can say yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think we have a type connector in Claris Connect, but you use that.
Claris Connect a type form, Claris Connect connector? I don't know.
I believe there is, but I don't know if the actions in the connector all covers you were doing here.
Yeah, I think that is available, but only for a few things. But my customer want me to customize the form. I need to include my logo. I include to some particular things. I think it's not covered. Okay, so now we start to decide my fate, like decision, if they are ready. If not, well, let's just pretend these slides happen. But seriously, your feedback is really valuable. Please take a moment to write the session. Thank you.